Perrault's doings. I, on the other hand, watched him with breathless interest. The floor was covered with a dark green linoleum, which was ideal for showing up footprints. A door at the farther end led into the small kitchen. From there, another door led into the scullery, where the back door was situated, and another into the bedroom, which had been occupied by Robert Grant. Having explored the ground, Perrault commented upon it in a low-running monologue. Here is where the body lay. That big dark stain and the splashes all around marked the spot. Traces of carpet slippers and number 9 boots, you observe, but all very confused. Then 2 sets of tracks leading to and from the kitchen. Whoever the murderer was, he came in that way. You have the boot, Hastings. Give it to me. He compared it carefully with the prints. Yes, both made by the same man, Robert Grant. He came in that way, killed the old man, and went back to the kitchen. He had stepped in the blood. See the stains he left as he went out. Nothing to be seen in the kitchen. All the village has been walking about in it. He went into his own room. No, first he went back again to the scene of the crime. Was that to get the little jade figures? Or had he forgotten something that might incriminate him? Perhaps he killed the old man the second time he went in, I suggested. Mais non, you do not observe. On one of the outgoing footmarks stained with blood, there is superimposed an ingoing one. I wonder what he went back for. The little jade figures as an afterthought. It is all ridiculous, stupid. Well, he's given himself away pretty hopelessly. Ne sais pas. I tell you, Hastings, it goes against reason. It offends my little gray cells. Let us go into his bedroom. Ah, yes, there is the smear of blood on the lintel, and just a trace of footmarks. The blood stained. Robert Grant's footmarks, and his only, near the body. Robert Grant, the only man who went near the house. Yes, it must be so. What about the old woman? I said suddenly. She was in the house alone after Grant had gone for the milk. She might have killed him and then gone out. Her feet would leave no prints if she hadn't been outside. Very good, Hastings. I wondered whether the hypothesis would occur to you. I had already thought of it and rejected it. Betsy Andrews is a local woman, well known hereabouts. She can have no connection with the Big Four, and besides, old Whaley was a powerful fellow by all accounts. This is a man's work, not a woman's. I suppose the Big Four couldn't have had some diabolical contrivance concealed in the ceiling, something which descended automatically and cut the old man's throat and was afterwards drawn up again, like Jacob's ladder. I know, Hastings, that you have an imagination of the most fertile, but I implore of you to keep it within bounds. I subsided, abashed. Perrault continued to wander about, poking into rooms and cupboards with a profoundly dissatisfied expression on his face. Suddenly, he uttered an excited yelp, reminiscent of a Pomeranian dog. I rushed to join him. He was standing in the larder in a dramatic attitude. In his hand, he was brandishing a leg of mutton. My dear Perrault, I cried, what is the matter? Have you suddenly gone mad? Regard, I pray you, this mutton, but regard it closely. I regarded it as closely as I could, but could see nothing unusual about it. It seemed to me a very ordinary leg of mutton. I said as much. Perrault threw me a withering glance. But you do not see this, and this, and this. He illustrated each this with a jab at the unoffending joint, dislodging small icicles as he did so. Perrault had just accused me of being imaginative, but I now felt that he was far more wildly so than I had ever been. Did he seriously think these slivers of ice were crystals of a deadly poison? That was the only construction I could put upon his extraordinary agitation. It's frozen meat, I explained gently. Imported, you know, New Zealand. He stared at me for a moment or two and then broke into a strange laugh. How marvelous is my friend Hastings. He knows everything, but everything. How do they say? Inquire within upon everything. That is my friend Hastings. He flung down the leg of mutton onto its dish again and left the larder. Then he looked through the window. Here comes our friend the inspector. It is well. I have seen all I want to see here. He drummed on the table absent-mindedly, as though absorbed in calculation, and then asked suddenly, "What is the day of the week, mon ami?" "Monday," I said, rather astonished. "What? Ah, Monday, is it? A bad day of the week. To commit a murder on a Monday is a mistake." Passing back to the living room, he tapped the glass on the wall and glanced at the thermometer. Set fair and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, an orthodox English summer's day. Ingalls was still examining various pieces of Chinese pottery. "You do not take much interest in this inquiry, monsieur," said Perrault. The other gave a slow smile. "It's not my job, you see. I'm a connoisseur of some things, but not of this. So I just stand back and keep out of the way. I've learned patience in the East." The inspector came bustling in, apologizing for having been so long away. He insisted on taking us over most of the ground again, but finally we got away. "I must appreciate your 1,000 politenesses, Inspector," said Perrault, as we were walking down the village street again. "There is just one more request I should like to put to you. You want to see the body, perhaps, sir?" "Oh, dear me, no. I have not the least interest in the body. I want to see Robert Grant." "You'll have to drive back with me to Morton to see him, sir." "Very well, I will do so, but I must see him and be able to speak to him alone." The inspector caressed his upper lip. "Well, I don't know about that, sir. I assure you that if you can get through to Scotland Yard, you will receive full authority. I have heard of you, of course, sir, and I know you've done us a good turn now and again. But it's very irregular. Nevertheless, it is necessary," said Perrault calmly. "It is necessary for this reason. Grant is not the murderer." "What? Who is then?" "The murderer was, I should fancy, a youngish man. He drove up to Granite Bungalow in a trap, which he left outside. He went in, committed the murder, came out, and drove away again. He was bareheaded, and his clothing was slightly blood-stained, but the whole village would have seen him. Not under certain circumstances, not if it was enough for me. You are sure of that? Absolutely certain. Good. Now, when did you come out of prison? 2 months ago. How did you obtain this job? Through one of them prisoners' help societies. Bloke met me when I came out. What was he like? Not exactly a parson, but looked like one. Soft black hat and mincing way of talking. Got a broken front tooth. Spectacled chap. Saunders, his name was, said he hoped I was repentant and that he'd find me a good post. I went to Old Whaley on his recommendation. Perot rose once more. I thank you. I know all now. Have patience. He paused in the doorway and added, Saunders gave you a pair of boots, didn't he? Grant looked very astonished. Why, yes, he did. But how did you know? It is my business to know things, said Perot gravely. After a word or two to the inspector, the three of us went to the White Hart and discussed eggs and bacon and Devonshire cider. Any elucidations yet? Asked Ingalls with a smile. Yes, the case is clear enough now, but see you, I shall have a good deal of difficulty in proving it. Whaley was killed by order of the Big Four, but not by Grant. A very clever man got Grant the post and deliberately planned to make him the scapegoat. An easy matter with Grant's prison record. He gave him a pair of boots, one of 2 duplicate pairs. The other he kept himself. It was all so simple. When Grant is out of the house and Betsy is chatting in the village, which she probably did every day of her life, he drives up wearing the duplicate boots, enters the kitchen, goes through into the living room, fells the old man with a blow, and then cuts his throat. Then he returns to the kitchen, removes the boots, puts on another pair, and carrying the first pair, goes out to his trap and drives off again. Ingalls looked steadily at Perot. There's a catch in it still. Why did nobody see him? Ah, that is where the cleverness of number 4, I am convinced, comes in. Everybody saw him, and yet nobody saw him. You see, he drove up in a butcher's cart. I uttered an exclamation. The Leg of Mutton. Exactly, Hastings, the Leg of Mutton. Everybody swore that no one had been to Granite Bungalow that morning, but nevertheless, I found in the larder a leg of mutton, still frozen. It was Monday, so the meat must have been delivered that morning, for if on Saturday, in this hot weather, it would not have remained frozen over Sunday. So, someone had been to the bungalow, and a man on whom a trace of blood here and there would attract no attention. Damned ingenious, cried Ingalls approvingly. Yes, he is clever, number 4. As clever as Hercule Poirot, I murmured. My friend threw me a glance of dignified reproach. There are some jests that you should not permit yourself, Hastings, he said sententiously. Have I not saved an innocent man from being sent